Okay, I'm back on my YouTube channel again. Today's news, we've asked the United States Department of Veterans Affairs to conduct an investigation. The investigation to determine what's the difference between schizophrenic and Havana syndrome, okay? I've been wrongfully diagnosed, okay? We're gonna focus on what the VA knew and what they should be investigating because they knew a lot, okay? We're gonna cover the history of the silent weapon and silent wars, okay? Government compensation, federal compensation, and all that, okay? here's a letter that the VA received my investigation. They received my file asking for an investigation. And I've given them over, I'm going to say 8,000, but 800 documents, not 8,000, 800 documents. Okay. I've given them over 800 documents. Okay. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You just can't. I've given them over, I'm going to say probably roughly over 794 documents have been released to the VA. All evidence. Okay, you got it? 794 documents or pieces of evidence given to the Department of Veterans Affairs, okay, asking for an investigation. I want to determine what's the difference between schizophrenic and Havana syndrome and why I was diagnosed with schizophrenic, okay? Now we're going to go into what the VA knew so long ago, okay? Veterans are being abused. We're being wrongfully diagnosed for years, okay? We want the VA to correct the record, and if they don't, we're going to go into federal courts, and they will correct the record. Let me give you the evidence on how long this war's been going on. We know that we had a hearing, okay? But I want you to focus on the key components of Department of Veterans Affairs. What the VA knew, okay? What did they know? What do they know now? Okay, focus on that. What the VA knew, all right? That's what we're concerned about. We're concerned about what the VA knew, what's been going on throughout these years. Okay. Okay, we're going to go right into the hearing. The silent weapons hearing. The silent weapons hearing last year by the Department of Homeland Security led to the VA. So we're going to hear that, okay? We're going to hear the hearing. Jump into that real quick, and then we'll talk about evidence.
By the Russian state.
Is there any way to protect our officials?
Here we go.
This
is the Department of Homeland Security on silent weapons.
These are very
qualified and in a secure setting and provide answers to our findings.
guys. If your assessments here are correct, these are very covert weapons, aren't they? They don't leave behind bomb fragments, bullet holes, etc. They could absolutely be used by our adversaries and have very low levels of, very easy to deny that they were even there, that they were used. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
Okay. It's designed to make a target feel like they're crazy, okay? It's designed to make a target feel like they're crazy. So you have a weapon that's being deployed in the United States against Americans, against veterans, and against government personnel. And it's coercing them to become crazy. Now, if you work for the government, where do you go? You go to the Department of Veterans Affairs, you go to military hospital, do you go to the Department of Veterans, you go to the military hospital, Department of Veterans Affairs, where do you go to get treatment? Okay, now, we're going to jump right into that. Okay, pay close attention. Okay, pay close attention.
They're allies as well.
I have to be careful what I say here. So let me say this.
And if I can, say what you can.
I've-
If you gentlemen feel better talking about this in a more secure setting,
I'll start by
we can
saying
work
this.
on that as well.
Congressman, thank you for the question. Give me 20 minutes in a skiff and I'll convince all of you. I know where the bodies are buried. I know the cabinets to look in, the questions to ask, and the people to subpoena. I will say that this is a global campaign and it's focused on attacking our people, the best of our people. It's not the middle range people that are being attacked. It's those that are succeeding and providing work that winds up on the president's desk every morning. So it's a massive issue. It's something that doesn't come to light. And it's something that, especially with the Department of Defense survivors, the unseen, they're totally left out of this because the Havana Act doesn't cover your active duty members. They're told to go to the VA, but there's no VA diagnostic code. So we're not getting them care. It's not consistent.
We are
have
not,
funding.
we're told to go to the VA. We're told to go to the VA, but we're not getting them care. It's not consistent. Okay? We're not getting them care. It's not consistent. So what you are doing to the veterans who are coming out of the military complaining about this is you're calling them schizophrenic, like you've done to me. You called me schizophrenic for reporting this to the Department of Veterans Affairs umpteen years ago. Okay? And so, in my defense, I've been wrongfully diagnosed in an act of medical malpractice. I've been poisoned with chemicals to destroy my life. Okay? I've been spied on, tracked, and tortured, put into a program that I don't even consent. I am a test subject, a Manchurian candidate for over 32 years. And the government tried to cover it up. So the quickest way to cover it up and continue on spying on me was to detour me to the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, where I was wrongfully diagnosed in an act of war, treason, and retaliation, only to keep the so-called Brain Initiative program. The government enjoys it. They enjoy tracking a mind, which you're doing very well of mine. They've been tracking my mind, stealing my ideas, stealing my thoughts, and I was wrongfully diagnosed by the VA. Okay? But my question is what did the VA know about the silent weapon so long ago? And we're going to visit that right now. What did they know long ago? And how many other veterans are complaining about this? Okay, very important. Very important issue. Okay? We're all told to go to the VA, but we're not getting them care. You're wrongfully diagnosing veterans. This silent weapon microwave, Havana syndrome, let me come right back here just a minute. Havana syndrome is known as HS or AHI. Havana syndrome, known as HS or AHI, has three parts to it. One of them is microwave. The other one is neuro. The other one is neuro weapons. And the other one is directed energy weapons. Directed energy weapons. So Havana syndrome is AHS and AHI. There's a microwave energy weapon, neurological weapons, and directed energy weapons. Okay? Three compartments of Havana syndrome. Microwave energy weapons, neuro weapons, and directed energy weapons, which the government talked so long ago. They talked about directed energy weapons so long ago. Directed at government employees and their spouses. Okay? What did the VA know, though? Keep that in mind. What did the VA know so long ago? What did they know? And the VA knew a lot. The VA knew a lot. They knew a lot about the Moscow signal and government employees being affected by that. They knew a lot. I want you to pay attention to this video because it talks about the Department of Veterans Affairs, okay?
In 1953, the Russians began to bombard the U.S. Embassy in Moscow with electromagnetic radiation in the microwave spectrum, but the fact was kept secret from the embassy employees. U.S. Ambassador Stossel contracted a blood disease, bleeding eyes, nausea, and eventually lymphoma. He and other employees eventually died as a result of the microwave attacks. Dr. Henry Kissinger sent a secret memo giving hazard pay to embassy personnel in the 1970s. Before the attacks, the USSR had met with the U.S. to try to head off an arms race in electromagnetic weapons, but were refused. In retaliation, they began microwaving the U.S. Embassy. It is possible that the U.S. government took advantage of the situation and used the embassy staff as microwave guinea pigs. The Department of Defense's Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA, set up a lab at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research and participated in Project Pandora. Scientists began zapping monkeys to study the biological effects of highly concentrated microwave frequencies. Similar studies were conducted at the VA hospital in Kansas City.
Similar studies were conducted at the VA hospital, Kansas City. Similar studies were conducted at the VA hospital, Kansas City. Similar studies were conducted at the VA hospital, Kansas City. You hear that again, VA hospital. Okay. Now, how am I going to confirm that that video is correct? It was published by the Texas Liberty Advocate Network Alert Agency. But how do I confirm that that's legit? And I have to reach back to an article. And I usually refer back to law journals or medical journals or neurological journals to confirm that this is happening. So I go back and confirm that video with a medical journal, psychological journal, that was published back in 1975. Okay? That was published back in 1975. That was published back in 1975. They published a psychological journal. They published a psychological journal that deals with microwave weapons. The Department of Veterans Affairs knew about microwave weapons a long time ago. Okay? And we're going to dive right into that because you can't hide it. You can't hide it anymore. Okay? So, the first document I want to look at is going to be the psychological journal itself, the journal itself, the psychological journal itself. The psychological journal itself. You can read that. I'll point out and I'm going to come in slowly. The psychological journal is titled American Psychologist, a journal of the American Psychological Association, Volume 30, March 1975, number 3. It's American Psychological Journal. It's a journal of medicine, okay? And as you flip to the page, you will come to the contents. Look at the contents of this article. I'm going to zoom in. Look at the contents of this article. It's referring me to page 391. It says Microwaves and Behaviors by Don R. Justinson. It's referring me back to a page. So when you turn to that page, you come up with an article. You come up with an article. I'm going to get closer so you can read that article. And the article reads, Microwaves and Behavior. Microwaves and Behavior, written by Don R. Justinson, from the Laboratories of Experimental Neuropsychology, Veterans Administration Hospital, Kansas City, Missouri. Read it for yourself. Neuropsychology. Neuro weapons. Okay? It's deja vu, folks. The VA knew about these weapons a long time ago. Okay? But if you look closer into the article, you're going to see that, in fact, Raytheon Corporation was all part of that. Raytheon Corporation was all part of that. And Raytheon Corporation makes satellite weapons. They made the first weapon back in 1950. And they have shareholders and stockholders who are invested in Raytheon Corporation. And they also talked about extrasensory perception back in the 1970s. There you have it. And it gets more into microwave radiation. It gets more into microwave radiation. And then you get more into the evidence on the schematics and how this weapon is being played out. You get more into the information on how these weapons are being played out. You get more into detail on how this information is being played out. Okay? The Navy identifies that these weapons are being used. And then, on top of this article, I go back in and look at another piece of artifact that was written by the Department of the Navy. And you have to remember, I served in the U.S. Marines, and the Marines are part of the United States Department of the Navy. Okay? They provide medical care to the Marines. Read this article right here. "1972. Yes, the Navy did know about radio frequencies and silent weapons a long time ago. They knew about this a long time ago. Okay? You can't hide it anymore, folks. Okay? Now, what scares me the most is they're having a hard time trying to pass a bill. There's a bill right now that's on hold. Been on hold for a long time right now. Providing support for military who are victimized. Why would they hold the bill hostage when in fact Americans are being targeted? Why are they holding a bill hostage for veterans and military personnel when Americans are being targeted and tortured? Why are they holding a bill hostage from the American people? This bill right here was written by a veteran. Written by a veteran and a doctor. Written by a veteran and a doctor and a congressman. And it's having a hard time past the legislator. It's been idling since last year. It's been idling since last year. It was written back in 2024. It was written back in on February of last year. Almost a year been idling. They haven't done any work on that yet. They haven't done none work for veterans at all. 1 year ago, no work. Okay? Like I said, it was a veteran who declared this bill, who tried to pass this bill. Let's look at the text of that bill. Let's look at the text. Oh, come on. Okay. And this bill, like I said, it's just it's a bill for the military. I mean, look, read the damn bill. Read the bill. Read the bill. The bill says to direct the Secretary of Defense to provide the committees on armed services of the Senate and House of Representatives a report and briefing on anonymous health incidents affecting members of the armed forces and civilian employees of the Department of Defense. There's that bill right there. It is still idling. They are holding back from passing that bill. Why? Why? If you know that Americans are under attack, if you know that veterans are under attack, why wouldn't you pass a bill to protect the lives and welfare of veterans? And you know why? It's because we compensate the guinea pig. And veterans are the guinea pig to a secret society that's lingering above us in a cloud, operated by fusion centers, the CIA, the FBI, private corporations, Google, Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed, Metaverse, ABC Inc., Apple, Samsung. You get me so far? Do you get me so far? That's why. It'd be a massive payout. Because it's affecting the veterans. It's affecting the FBI. It's affecting the CIA. But what I don't understand, though, is that throughout 72 years, you paid whistleblowers to blow the whistle over 72 years. And still, you have not passed one crime bill to protect the lives of Americans and veterans. And I have to go back to the Honorable Dennis Kucinich. The Honorable Dennis Kucinich. Dennis Kucinich attempted to pass 4 crime bills against the silent weapons. And the cartoon reads, "I told you so. I told you so." But if you look into the House bill, read the definitions. Read the definitions of the House bill. Read the definitions in that bill. Let's go back to the bill. Read the definitions in that bill. Read the definitions in that bill. Let's go to the definitions. Because this bill would have protected, it would have been a catch-all for everyone. Veterans, Americans, CIA, FBI, it would have been a catch-all. It would have been a catch-all law to give us the right to file, to redress for grievances, to petition the government for our injuries. And it's not right now, look at they're putting fake stuff on my head here. It would have given us the right to petition the government for grievances, okay? But if you read the definitions, read the definitions. I challenge you. Read the definitions. Right there, section 7. In this act, the term space means all space extended upward from an altitude greater than 60 kilometers above the surface of the earth and any celestial body in such space. Okay, past the clouds. The terms weapon and weapon system mean a device capable of any of the following. Read along here. Damaging or destroying an object, whether in outer space or in the atmosphere or on Earth, by firing one or projectiles to collide with that object. detonating, and he stresses detonating, because can you imagine being a police officer with a gun in your holster, and you have a loaded round in that gun, and that satellite weapon, which is about as tip as a pin, that satellite is about as tip as that pin right there. And it strikes the primer on that bullet in your chamber, you would shoot yourself. Okay? Detonating one or more explosive devices in close proximity to that object. Directing a source of energy, including molecular or atomic energy, subatomic particle beams, electromagnetic radiation, plasma or extremely low frequency, ELF or ultra low frequency, energy radiation against that object. Keep on reading. Or in any other acknowledged or as yet undeveloped means, inflicting death or injury on or damaging or destroying a person or the biological life, bodily health, mental health, or physical and economic well-being of a person. I'm pointing right there. It says ELF. And we're not talking about a Christmas elf. We're talking about extremely low frequency. Okay? Inflicting death or injuring on or damaging or destroying a person or the biological life, bodily health, mental health, or physical and economical well-being of a person, meaning driving them off their job, causing them to lose their homes, causing them to lose their family. And economic well-being of a person through the use of any of the means described in the clause subparagraph B, through the use of land-based, sea-based, or space-based systems using radiation, electromagnetic, psychotronic, laser, or other energy directed at an individual person or targeted populations for the purpose of information war, mood management, or mind control of such persons or populations. Read it right there. Sea or space-based systems, radiation, electric, magnetic, psychotronic, sonic, laser, or other energies directed at an individual person's. Now they're blocking me. They're blocking. Why? See, Apple's crazy for block. Why you want to block me for? Don't block me, Apple. They're blocking me because they can't handle the damn truth. But the truth is, like I said, they're attacking me. They are attacking me again. I'm under war, and I have ESP. But they can't handle the truth. And so they begin to attack me. You heard the plane go over me. He was attacking with direct energy weapons. But once again, they are covering up a 72-year silent war. Okay, now, we heard about the energy weapons. Now let's take a look at the whistleblower. The whistleblower. Take a look at the whistleblower. Take a look at the whistleblower.
Don't settle for less. Here's what others are doing to
I'm tired of
fix missing and
commercials.
broken teeth. The company everyone has been raving about is called Nuvia, with thousands of 5-star reviews and a 99.13% success rate to back it up. It's no wonder Nuvia is the clear choice for thousands of patients nationwide. And that's not even the best part. It takes them
You
only
can't be
24
civilized
hours to
anymore.
eliminate
We're
the
under
problem and
attack.
provide a permanent solution.
Being able to interview 2,500 victims or targeted individuals, as they're called, found commonalities of all their stories. And
Okay.
But
What I'm going to show you is a CIA whistleblower who knows about these silent weapons. Okay. You can't make this shit up, man. Come on. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to build a library of evidence. It doesn't. An elementary kid can go and cut newspapers or current events and establish a damn case. It's that simple. People don't have any knowledge up there, man. And I mean, I am schizophrenic, but I have the right to free speech. You can't block the bullshit, all right? We will continue to protest this damn war. It's all about fraud, racketeering, human trafficking, insurance fraud, and inside trading. So help me God. If you invested in Raytheon Corporation, you are a criminal. You are a criminal. I would move it while you can, because it's coming at you. It's coming at you. You better believe it. Let's listen to the whistleblower.
Vestibular dysfunction due to directed energy exposure.
Dr. Robert Duncan.
Team of experts that diagnosed Cuban diplomats.
Duncan?
Yes.
I have an Ivy League background, education, and I've been studying and human rights activism for what is now currently termed Havana syndrome, but this has been going on for quite some time. I worked for DARPA on projects for the CIA, for the Navy, for example, wrote the Artificial Intelligence Code, tracked the Soviet nuclear submarine fleet. But about 20 years ago, I realized some of my research was being utilized on my own citizens. And that was unacceptable to me. And since then, I've done hundreds of interviews, interviewed 2,500 victims or targeted individuals, as they're called, found commonalities of all their stories. And I've spoken to with the head of the LA FBI, to the Senate Intelligence Committee, 23 senators and representatives, with some interest. And I said, just wait when it starts happening to their agents, diplomats, and the FBI. So interestingly, a story came out yesterday that it's happening to the FBI now.
What is your educational background?
So it is happening to the FBI. It is happening to the FBI. But I want to focus on something. You heard that. It's attacking Americans. He witnessed that 20 years ago. He told the FBI, he told the Senate, he told congressmen. Okay? It's happened 20 years ago. Now, he does mention that it happened to the FBI, and it did. But, like I said, we're all being directed to the VA. And I want to add this for the record. Don't get mad. I understand you're mad. Don't get mad. It's all facts. It's okay. I want to add this for the record. This is Gerald Sosby. This is a former Army veteran and FBI agent. Okay? He wrote a letter to the Department of Veterans Affairs, okay, seeking care. This is an FBI agent. This is an attorney, a retired or an Army veteran, okay? He wrote a letter to the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can read it. Get a copy of it. Wrote a letter to the Department of Veterans Affairs. Department of Veterans Affairs. I say it again. Read his letter. Read his letter. I'm going to read it for you. Ready? I'm going to try my best. I'm schizo, but I'm going to try my best. Also, I have survived literally hundreds of assaults on my person, a few attempts on my life, and extreme assaults by high-tech, satellite-based weaponry, street thugs, operatives for the FBI, and extreme psychological operations designed to injure me in ways that most people cannot conceive. Some such assaults include chemical combinations to form kidney stones, inject biological infection in your tooth. Number 14, chemicals to disable organs, tracking devices causing cerebral vascular disease, pumping toxic fumes into my residence for 20 years. Okay, so help me God. Signed by Gerald Sosby. And that was to the Department of Veterans Affairs. Read that. Robert A. McDonnell, Director, Department of Veterans Affairs, Central Office, Washington, D.C., 810 Vermont Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Let's see if that man exists. Does he still exist? Where did he go? Where did Bob McDonnell go? There's Bob McDonnell. Yeah, that's him. Told Bob McDonnell, United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs, told Bob McDonnell in a letter dated June 10th, 2017. It's happened to veterans, and it's happened to the FBI. It's happened to the FBI. You just wait and see till it happens to the FBI.
I have
right? Let's go back and listen to that again.
MBA from Dartmouth, Masters of Science from 20 years ago. I realized some of my research was being utilized on my own citizen. I was the head of the LA FBI to the Senate Intelligence Committee, 23 senators and representatives, with some interest. And I said, just wait when it starts happening to their agents, diplomats, and the FBI. So interestingly, a story came out yesterday that it's happening to the FBI now.
What is your educational background?
It's happening to the FBI. It's happening to the FBI. It's happened to Americans. He witnessed that 20 years ago. He witnessed that 20 years ago. What I'm concerned about is the signs and symptoms of what an FBI agent reported. This is the symptoms of an FBI agent. What did they report? She reported that she was a test subject. Her skin was pulsing. Her body was hurting. She had disorientation. She had a symptom of Alzheimer's, short-term memory. She passed out. Her gyroscope was off. She had pressure, neck pain, jaw pain, chest pain, ear pain, was knocked over, had a high-pitched metallic taste, and she had pain. Now let's hear it for yourself. It happened right here in the United States, right in Florida and California. Can't make it up. Can't make it up.
These 100% grass-fed beef sticks.
I urge them to pass a law. I really do.
Right now.
I urge them to pass a law because they've been negligent for 72 years. You've been negligent for 72 years.
I do believe.
Not the same person.
Of who might be
There you
responsible.
go.
Most of the injured have fought for America, often in secret, and they're frustrated that the U.S. government publicly doubts that an adversary is targeting Americans.
The story will continue in a moment.
One of them is Carrie. We're disguising her and not using her last name because she's still an FBI agent working in counterintelligence. She says in 2021, she was home in Florida when she was hit by a crippling force.
And bam, inside my right ear, it was like a dentist drilling on steroids. That feeling when it gets too close to your eardrum, it's like that, times 10. It was like a high-pitched metallic drilling noise, and it knocked me forward at like a 45-degree angle this way.
She says she was by a window in her laundry room.
My right ear was line of sight to that window while this thing was happening in my ear. And when I leaned forward, it didn't knock me over, but it knocked me forward. immediately felt pressure, and pressure and pain started coursing from inside my right ear, down my jaw, down my neck, and into my chest.
At the same time, FBI agent Carey told us the battery in her phone began to swell until it broke the case. Finally, she passed out on a couch. Because of chest pain, she was checked by a cardiologist and then returned to duty.
And I remember complaining to my colleagues for months after that. I felt like I had early Alzheimer's. Short-term memory, long-term memory, confusing memories, multitasking. My baseline changed. I was not the same person.
Carey's story matches those.
She was not the same person. It knocked her forward, you know, and we're going to continue on hearing because it's very important that you hear the signs and symptoms of this FBI agent. FBI agents don't lie, okay? And she's got the facts, okay?
The most plausible mechanism. For example, a focused beam of microwaves or acoustic ultrasound. More than 100 officials or family members have unexplained, persistent symptoms.
If I turn too fast, my gyroscope is off, essentially. It's like a step behind where I'm supposed to be. So I'll turn too fast and I will literally walk right into the wall or the door frame.
Now, for the first time, the case of FBI agent Carey suggests which adversary might be responsible. She spoke with the FBI.
That's what I'm saying. See, so her signs and symptoms are very important, okay? And it doesn't stop there. I mean, you know, she's been victimized, and like I said, it's happened here in Florida and California. You can't make this up. You can't.
Jail.
I mean,
Carey says she was hit in Florida, and a year later when she awoke to the same symptoms in the middle of the night in California.
It felt like I was stuck in this state of like disorientation, not able to function, like, what is happening? And my whole body was pulsing.
Mark Zaid is Carey's attorney.
And her whole body was pulsing. I mean, her gyroscope was off. I mean, it's knocking people forward, you know? I mean, pay attention to the symptoms. This lady's not lying. She works for the damn FBI. Undercover, being attacked in Florida and California. Okay? All right. So then, we know that is happening, but I mean, like you said in the video, you know, it's driving people crazy. It is. It's cool. They're attacking. You have a coup of idiots in their neighborhood attacking whoever they want to. They don't know if the person, well, they know who the hell I am, but they don't even know if a person works for the FBI, CIA. They don't know that. It's happening in their neighborhoods. It is. It's attacking their neighborhoods. So when you hear someone complain about a neighborhood, they're being attacked in the neighborhood by damn neighbors. They don't know if the person works for the FBI, work at the airport, as a janitor, lawyer, scientist. They don't know that. Or do they? I mean, they've been watching for a long time. But the facts is that the weapon is designed to make you crazy. We know that already from the get-go. It is designed to make you crazy, right?
It's a massive issue.
It's designed to make you crazy. We heard that already.
Find unexplained communications that all point to a very plausible and internally consistent theory that these people are behind the attacks. Again, I can see several reasons why the US intelligence might not want to make that public, but they must make it known to qualified and in a secure setting and provide answers to our findings.
Guys, if your assessments here are correct, these are very covert weapons, aren't they? They don't leave behind bomb fragments, bullet holes, etc. They could absolutely be used by our adversaries and have very low levels of, very easy to deny that they were even there, that they were used. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
But you were saying
so there you go. It's designed to make you crazy. You go to the VA, you're not treated right. So they're doing a good job. Okay, they hack the FBI, they're hacking at veterans, and they're hacking at the CIA. And the CIA won't investigate. The FBI won't investigate. It's your damn job. Do your damn job. Mark Polymenopoulos worked for the CIA. Mark Polymenopoulos worked for the CIA. Mark Polymenopoulos worked for the CIA. He worked for the CIA. The CIA called him crazy when he was interviewed by Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow interviewed him, and he said that when he reported back to the CIA that he was attacked with a silent weapon, they told him he was crazy. Okay? They told him he was crazy. I mean, you guys are appointing people at these fusion centers. They're fucking crooks. They're crooks attacking anyone. The CIA told him he was crazy. The CIA told him he was crazy. I want to go back to a specific, we talked about Dennis Kucinich, and we talked about the definitions. And I want to go back to those definitions. I want to go back to those definitions. This is Dennis Kucinich and his crime bills that did not get passed. Okay, did not get passed. I want to go back to H.R. 2977, written on October 2nd, 2001. Focus on the date. Focus on the date. October 2nd, 2001. October 2nd, highlight that. Okay? October 2nd, 2001. All right? We're going to go back into the definitions of that. H.R. 2977, Space Preservation Act. Go into the definitions. And I want you to focus on that word right there, ELF. Circle that, ELF weapons. Okay? Circle that. Okay? ELF weapons or ultra low frequency. Okay, weapons. Okay? You got that? ELF weapons. Okay? Now, remember, it's a low frequency war, right? You remember the ELF, remember low frequency, okay? Now we're going to go back into the hearing.
The targets are
Feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
At the low intensity, long duration hits. At the low intensity, long duration hits. At the low intensity, long duration hits. That was ELF. That's an ELF weapon he's reporting, right? At the low intensity, long duration hits, right? They've been attacking me with low intensity. Maybe 100 hertz, but it's piercing. It's penetrating your skull, hitting the hairs inside your brain and your ears, causing you to become whack and hallucinate and nauseated and under hypnosis, cause you to spin, knock you forward, lose your mind, put you to sleep. They don't even put you to sleep. ELF. Now we're going to go into the veterans section and look at ELF weapons. We're looking at veterans that are victims. These are veterans that are victims. And we're going to go right into the Aaron Alexis story. This Navy employee committed suicide. Aaron Alexis worked for the U.S. Navy. He was a sailor, right? Went on a rampage and killed people at the Navy yard on a Navy installation. Before he shot someone, he etched in his rifle. He etched ELF, extremely low frequency, ELF weapons. This man knew who his attacker was, and then Congress had an investigation after he killed someone. Why does it take an act of Congress to investigate the targeting of veterans? Why does it take the act of Congress to investigate the attack on veterans? You have to answer that, okay? This war's been going on for way too long, okay? When are you going to stop and investigate? When are you going to write policy? Thank you, and God bless America.